In this video, we are going to look at the effects of deforestation. So, deforestation can cause the following. 1. Leaching of the soil. 2. Soil erosion. 3. Changes in O2 and CO2 atmospheric levels. 4. Changes in the water cycle. Firstly, what is deforestation? Deforestation is the removal of forest from an area of land, essentially cutting down trees from an area of land. It allows the land to be used for other purposes. So, reasons for doing this. 1. Timber is a source of fuel that we often burn to create agricultural land for farming, to make the land more available for houses and urbanization, and to create ingredients for highly prized consumer goods. So an example of this would be oils from palm trees. Firstly, what is leaching of the soil? Leaching is the removal of trees, leaves the soil exposed to weather. So if you cut down all the trees, the soil is now exposed and the weather can have a negative impact on that soil. So if in an area of excess rainfall, this can cause the soil to be what we call leached. So I'm going to draw a soil profile here for you. Something that you need to be aware of is the top layer is called the humus layer. It's full of organic matter. Then you have the topsoil, which would be high in nutrients or nitrogen. And then you have the groundwater level below the soil profile. Now remember, this area has a high amount of rainfall. So, when the soil becomes excessively wet through rainfall, the soil will reach a point where it cannot hold any more water. We call that saturated. So the water cannot hold any more water, so the water starts moving down the soil profile. And a key thing here is soluble nitrates. So as water moves down the soil, soluble nitrates can be taken away with it. So this soil has a high amount of nitrates in it, but they are soluble, so they dissolve and get transported with the water. As that moves down the soil profile, these nitrates, or the nitrogens, moves down towards the bedrock with it, and the groundwater level. Once it reaches the groundwater level, it will then be transported away. This nitrate has become leached from the soil. Okay, it cannot be replaced again unless you add fertilizer. So, what is soil erosion? Soil erosion is defined as the wearing away of topsoil. And how does this happen? Firstly, we have to think about deforestation here. So I'm going to grow a tree. We have roots of trees, and this anchors the soil and keeps it in place. We have leaves falling from trees, and this adds organic matter. And we also know that trees shelter the soil from wind and rain. If we cut down these trees, what will happen? The soil will become exposed. So there'll be no trees or tree roots to help anchor it. There'll be less organic matter added, and the soil will be exposed to the weather, so it can be blown away or washed away. Next thing, changes in CO2 levels and O2 levels. So again, I'm going to draw my tree. We know that trees release oxygen and take in carbon dioxide. So through the process of photosynthesis, plants take in CO2 and release O2. I have included the balanced chemical equation for this. Trees act as a carbon store, we would say. Because they take in CO2, they store carbon within them, removing it from the atmosphere. And this helps regulate the amount of O2 and CO2 in the air. Cutting down these trees will reduce the amount of CO2 absorbed and O2 produced. Burning trees will also release any carbon that is stored in them as CO2, which obviously will increase the amount of CO2 in the air, causing global warming. And finally, the fourth negative impact is a change in the water cycle. So again, we draw a tree. You have to remember that water diffuses into the roots of the plant. It moves up the tree towards the leaves. In the leaves, some of the water is used for photosynthesis. However, some of it is turned into water vapor by light energy. So as the light energy hits the leaves, that energy causes it to change from a liquid to a gas, and it becomes water vapor. The water vapor can escape through small openings on the underside of the leaf, known as stomata. So, this process where plant loses water vapor from the underside of the leaves is called transpiration. Why is this important? So the water vapor from transpiration or from the trees in forests can create clouds. Without transpiration, water would remain in the ground and not return to the water cycle. This can have an effect on the weather and the amount of rainfall. So no clouds from formation from water vapor can cause drought. So this is just a few of the examples of the negative impacts of deforestation on the soil, on the atmospheric air, and in general.